Hi, welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Like and share the video as well. The Superstar Shake Up is coming up next week. Raw and SmackDown. Superstars are going to change brands as we go towards a brand new year in WWE. The countdown to WrestleMania 35 is on. Of course, I said it with a bit of tongue-in-cheek, but of course, these moves will determine all the storylines going forward between now to then. And of course, we may even have some sort of shape within WWE's writing team of what the card will already be for next year. So it's quite important what these moves are that are going to take place this upcoming week, and hopefully we're going to get a fresh looking Raw and a fresh looking SmackDown. So I'm going to give my predictions to you on this video, and well, potentially as well, some of those will be also my opinion of who should move also. I will let you know how and when as we go through the selections. So we're going to start with the top pick. And I may flip backwards and forwards here. I'm not going to promise I'll stick with one brand to the other, but what I'll do is I'm going to talk about one that I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I feel perhaps could happen. And despite the fact he's still WWE Champion, I can see AJ Styles moving to Monday Night Raw. Now, it's been rumoured for a long time that AJ will be on Monday nights very soon. After all, he is one of the biggest over people within the entire company, so it would make sense to move him to the red brand. He also would have fresh matchups. Even though he's Mr. SmackDown currently, he's fought now Shinsuke Nakamura, and it would give him fresh matchups with the likes of Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, Samoa Joe we've not even seen in the WWE era. So the possibilities for AJ would be endless. Now, the reason I would not be a fan of this is because I love the idea currently of the top three on SmackDown Live: AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Daniel Bryan. The matches that these three could all have mixed up together would be a dream, and I personally would love to see it. I see Daniel Bryan staying at SmackDown Live and being the SmackDown guy. So that does leave the freedom for AJ Styles to move to Monday Night Raw, to lose the belt at the first opportunity to Shinsuke Nakamura, because champions have moved over to shows before only to lose the belts a short time later. So it wouldn't surprise me if AJ Styles was to go to Monday Night Raw. My next selection is going to be Charlotte Flair. Now, I think she'll move to Raw purely on the basis she lost the belt on SmackDown Live this week, and she's almost like the Triple H back in the day of when they used to do the Joss before. I remember in 2008, Triple H was moved to SmackDown for a year, only to be moved back to Monday Night Raw in a big move that following year. And of course, he carried the SmackDown brand when he was there, almost like Charlotte has carried the women's division. But now it's time for her to go back where she belongs. She is the number one when it comes to the women's division, so it makes sense for her to go on the number one show in WWE's eyes, which is Raw. She can then feud with the likes of Alexa Bliss. There's Nia Jax, who she's not feuded with. So the possibilities for Charlotte are fresh and excited going ahead on Monday Night Raw. I feel that she's going to be joined on Monday nights with Becky Lynch. Now, I say this because Becky Lynch seems lost on SmackDown Live. There's no real direction with her. She was the first ever SmackDown Live Women's Champion, and I feel that maybe a new lease of life, a new freshness can be given to her character if she was to go to Monday Night Raw. Perhaps even a heel turn down the line. We'll have to wait and see, but for now, definitely Becky Lynch, straight fire, will get more time to shine on the Raw brand. There's not a lot of time on SmackDown for all the women to be on there, so I think for Becky, it's important she gets the time on TV, and I think if she was to move to Raw, she would get that time, so I think it would help her. Keeping to the women's division, I'm going to also say Naomi. Now, the reason I'm going to move her from SmackDown to Raw is purely because I think that she's been on SmackDown since the start. She's done almost what she can on the SmackDown brand, and I think that it would be giving her a new lease of life on Raw. She could feud with Charlotte, which is still a feud we've not seen. She's also got the likes of Alexa Bliss she could go back into a feud with, Nia Jax. We've got Ember Moon as well, who's not been mentioned already in this video, who's on the Raw brand. But as well as this, she's won the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, so it kind of would make sense to give her some exposure on Raw. As I said, the women don't get as much time on SmackDown, and I think for Naomi, it would be a good fit. And I also move her because I think it's time to move a tag team over to Monday nights. I think it's time for the Usos to test themselves on the Raw brand. They've carried the SmackDown tag team division now for 2 years. They have exceeded expectations since changing their characters up, all for the better as well. They've now passed the buck over to the Bludgeon Brothers to carry the SmackDown Tag Team division, so why not move them to Monday Night Raw, see if they can sink or swim amongst the likes of Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt as a team. We've got The Bar, We've also currently got the Authors of Pain. I think the Usos would definitely fit in there, and that would also be your top 4 teams for Monday Night Raw. So I can see the Usos going there. I think it would be the right time to make the switch. I think if they were to stay on SmackDown, they would perhaps have limited options. So I think this is the right time to move them. And with Naomi as well, you've got the trio. You don't break up the marriage on the 2 brands. I think it makes sense if you're going to move one of them to move both of them to Monday Night Raw. I have more on the tag team division as well. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, I think that they're going to move to Raw because, again, they've fought every team on SmackDown. I think that it gives them a bit more time for some good matches on Raw. I really feel the Raw tag team division is going to be rebuilt here because it sort of has gone a bit flat on that Raw side. So I think they're going to give some strength from SmackDown. They're definitely going to take some of the stronger teams. And if they've taken perhaps the number 1 team in the Usos, I think that they won't take the New Day because they've had the rivalry with the Usos throughout the whole calendar year. So the New Day can stay put. The next best team to perhaps do that is Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. Some great matches you can throw there with them. They can, go with the best of them, and I think that it would be the right move going forward. Before moving on, let's not forget Jason Jordan as well. What role could he play in this as well? Could they unite as a trio? Could it involve Shelton Benjamin being broken up and the American Alpha get back together? There's definitely some things you could play there as well with that. Could they be against Kurt Angle? There's definitely a lot of intangibles there, and I think that's why that would also be an interesting team to move over to Monday Night Raw. Couple of minor mentions in the tag team division. I can see Breezango and the Ascension going over just purely to give them something different. They're not really getting any TV time on SmackDown Live. It's almost like you don't always get big moves. You'll sometimes get a couple of minor ones show up. And we saw that last year with Heath Slater and Rhino. I feel that these 2 teams will be almost just thrown in there as well. I think perhaps there could be something of a minor rivalry that could happen with Woke and Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. The Ascension, it could make a fun sort of ultimate deletion match. So this is one of the reasons why I throw those 2 teams over there. It certainly could make some entertaining and wacky television, if nothing else. But I don't see anything major for them. I go back and I'm going to talk about one more woman for the Raw side that could come over from SmackDown. I can see the Riot Squad being broken up. I feel that that's run its course. And I feel that the star of that is Ruby Riott, and I can see her coming to Monday Night Raw. Whether she'd actually succeed in Raw, I'm not so sure. But I feel that her character, her look, I think that it would suit the Raw brand, and that's why I see her coming over. There's lots of matches again that we can see her going in. Maybe she could turn face. I don't know, but then maybe there seems to be a lot of faces there with the trades I've made. So I think maybe we keep her heel with the likes of Mickie James there and Alexa Bliss. Maybe she can make a friendship there. But I feel she's the strongest unit there, and I think that perhaps she would have the best chance of succeeding on Monday Night Raw of the Riot Squad. So that's why I've made her as a pick. Now, if I get my wish and AJ Styles doesn't move to Monday Night Raw, there's still going to be a big name that's going to move to Raw. So let's go to the mid-card now of SmackDown Live, and someone that I think is going to move to Monday Night Raw. It's Randy Orton. Now, the reason I picked Randy Orton is because he definitely can be a big name to fill in the spots where needed. He currently has lost the United States Championship, so he could go into any program. He could go in with the likes of Roman Reigns. He could go against Braun Strowman, Lashley, Brock Lesnar, all those superstars are available to him. He could be face, he could turn heel. At this point of his career, it wouldn't matter. But he's definitely still a name that sells tickets and merchandise, which is why I think he would be a perfect move to Monday Night Raw. And the other reason I say this is because I think that a championship is going to trade, because they like to do this with WWE to keep it exciting. I feel that Jinder Mahal will bring the United States Championship to Monday Night Raw. He's done all he can do on SmackDown Live. He was the champion there. He's now found his perhaps correct spot in WWE, which is the mid-card. Why not move him to Monday Night Raw? Then Backlash could be a Raw exclusive feud. It's not got to be an obvious which side is the belt going to go. Jinder Mahal could be on Monday nights, and I think it would be a good move for him with Sunil Singh. They could definitely solidify that mid-card area, and I definitely think it would be a bonus for the Monday Night brand. So that's my selections for Monday Night Raw, and I'm very happy as well. I've not clashed with SmackDown Live there, so we've got two clear directions. So we'll start with a SmackDown Live, and I've said there about a championship change, and we need a big name as well to go to SmackDown Live because there's quite a gap in that roster as we speak. So I'm going to bring the Intercontinental Champion over, Seth Rollins. It seems to make a lot of sense there. Seth Rollins probably could lose that belt fairly early on and then could go towards the main event scene. I don't think he would be on his own either. I think Finn Balor would make the change as well. These two guys on Raw, they're very good, but they've just not been given the chance to fulfill the potential of getting towards that top of the card. They're perhaps too small, really, for what you've got on Raw. You've got those heavy, big hitters like a Brock Lesnar. These guys haven't had their chance to shine. I think if both of them moved to SmackDown Live, I think that they would really benefit from it. Especially, can you imagine those two in the lights then with, if AJ Styles stays, you've definitely got Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, there's some dream matches there, some dream rivalries, dream feuds. That top of the card for SmackDown is sorted. But if you're going to bring another heel over to SmackDown Live to really carry it as well, especially if the Shinsuke experiment doesn't work, for me, it's got to be The Miz. Now, I know that might seem controversial to some because he almost has what I would say the great spot on Raw because he has time to do Miz TV. He has a great spot of where he is. But for me, it makes perfect sense for him to come to SmackDown Live because of course, the initial chasing the Intercontinental Championship, where the title goes, The Miz will go because he wants to be the longest reigning champion of all time. But if he's to go on SmackDown Live, he could really go into the top title picture. Now pay-per-views are dual-branded pay-per-views. You're not relying on one brand or the other. The Miz could be the top guy on SmackDown, and it wouldn't be such a bad thing in 2018. It would make kind of sense because the B show would be good to have him as the main guy. I don't think it would be believable at this stage of the game on Monday Night Raw. But on SmackDown, for me, it would work. And you need a promo, someone that can carry promos on SmackDown Live at the start of the show, to have maybe a rivalry with Shane McMahon, like we've seen with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who I'll come to at the end of the video, by the way. I've not forgotten those two. So for me, The Miz would definitely work. And of course, I would bring The Miz to Raj, because yes, they are like a minor tag team act, but they do his dirty work for him, and I think that that definitely would make some matches building up to pay-per-views on the SmackDown show. And with now what looks to be a stacked Raw tag team division, we need to bring a few tag teams over. So I would start with the Miztourage and bring them with The Miz, and I think it's an act that could still work on the blue brand. Speaking of tag teams, I'm desperate for Gallows and Anderson to move. I mean, come on, these guys, did WWE even want to sign these guys? They've not brought out anywhere near the potential these guys have. I think on SmackDown, it could work for them because we looked at SmackDown's tag team division last year and we thought that they got the weaker end of it, but yet they proved to be the top division, outdoing the Raw side. So I think that Gallows and Anderson could come over and they can make a good job on SmackDown Live. Same as the Revival, a team that's been just not unable to get a break at all. And with the teams I've mentioned there on the Raw card, although I think that they could put some good matches together with those teams, I think that SmackDown Live would be a more suited home for them. Establish themselves on SmackDown Live. That's what the Revival needs, to be established. Same with Gallows and Anderson, and I think they would definitely be helpful with a tag team division that perhaps, yes, has the Bludgeon Brothers in there, probably carrying the division for now. You've got the New Day, but you've got some good rivalries amongst those teams with the Miztourage as well. And why not? Let's throw Titus Worldwide over there as well, because they right now would be completely lost with the teams I've thrown over to Raw. It would make sense to bring them on SmackDown as a tag team. That tag team division now seems a lot more full, and it works. You've traded half of the teams over on both shows, and I think now that the tag team division on both sides seems more exciting, more competitive, and we've definitely got some fresh matches there going forward. Next then, we will look at the women's division. Now, of course, if Charlotte Flair is going to go to Raw, it only makes sense. Asuka has to come to SmackDown Live, because now you've got then your forefront female that can challenge and go for the championship and carry the brand going forward. Asuka has fought almost everyone there is to fight on Raw at least once, and now she can challenge people like Carmella, Natalya. Those sort of people are open to it on SmackDown Live, and it would make more interesting TV, because those people at the moment would be lost in the shuffle with the current lineup the way SmackDown is. They won't be filler anymore. They can challenge for the belt again. And I would bring 2 more women over for Monday Night Raw. In fact, I'd bring 3 actually, thinking off the top of my head. I would first off bring Sasha Banks. Now, she definitely has done well on Raw, but I think she would excel on SmackDown. I just feel it's time for a change. Same with Bayley. I would continue that feud, bring it over to Tuesday nights, bring it to SmackDown Live. Bayley was getting buried on Monday nights. I think right now she would definitely, along with Sasha Banks, go towards the top of the card. So then you've got Asuka, you've got Sasha Banks, Bayley, Natalya, we've got Carmella. We've definitely got a strong-looking top of the card for SmackDown Live. And someone else that I would bring over, because we mentioned Paige is now the general manager, she would definitely want surely the strength of Absolution. Well, she did say on WrestleMania Kickoff that her favourite was Sonya Deville. So why not bring Sonya over? Because for me, you've got the two MMA gimmicks on Raw. We've got Ronda Rousey, who's definitely going to be the MMA gimmick there. We've got Shayna Baszler, who's the MMA gimmick in NXT. Very believable. I feel that Sonya Deville, perhaps it would make sense for her to come to SmackDown Live. She could almost find her feet, find herself. She's definitely been improving since coming to the main roster. I think she's the sort of girl that probably could, as the year goes on, find herself getting into the championship picture. So I would be quite a fan of seeing Sonya Deville come to Tuesday nights, and it would make sense to be reunited with Paige. And we could leave Mandy Rose on Monday nights. Maybe she could bring her over. It wouldn't be of harm, but I could see them being split up when it comes to the Superstar Shake Up. My last pick for SmackDown Live is someone that's not on TV. Now, last year there were some injuries, and we see certain people just being brought over who we'd not even thought of for a long time. Big Kaz, Colin Cassidy. I think a new, fresh start for him. They're going to want to freshen him up. Now, Big Kaz, I've heard, is going to be changing to Colin Cassidy when he comes back to completely distance himself from Enzo. I think a change of look wouldn't hurt a miss as well. Why not a change of show? Bring him on SmackDown Live. Colin Cassidy, bring him forward. He could be a face, he could be a heel. I think it could work. He definitely would be in the mid-card. Could move him towards the upper top of the card. I think it would definitely fit, and he would work within the SmackDown regime. I think there as well, it does look like that Raw perhaps may win the draft, but then it's kind of how it always works. They tend to take the top guys from Raw, but you get these guys here on SmackDown Live, and they got a chance of reinventing themselves. And I think Colin Cassidy would be a prime example. And if he does well for the next calendar year, I could not help but see him go back to Monday Night Raw. Now, that's my main predictions there for the Superstar Shake-Up, but I can't help but think we have to think about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're not fired. These guys are going to be on TV somehow, some way. I do feel that they're both going to end up on Monday Night Raw somehow, but for say some reason that they do get another opportunity to fight for their position, because the rumours were suggesting that before this tag team match was made for WrestleMania, that there was that suggestion that they were going to be in a match against each other. There was certainly the tease of the breakup between the two of them. If the plan is for them to be separate going forward, I would have Kevin Owens on Raw and I would have Sami Zayn on SmackDown. Sami sort of fits that kind of indie-style wrestling that could be on SmackDown Live with Daniel Bryan, Shinsuke Nakamura, some of the other guys I've mentioned that could go over like Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. We've got some great matchups there that would keep it fresh for Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens is more the kind of guy that definitely would fit in on Monday Night Raw with the bigger boys against the likes of perhaps Braun Strowman, maybe even teaming up with Samoa Joe, because they were teaming up before the shake-up last year. Maybe they could reignite and maybe they could help each other this time going forward. It certainly would be interesting to see how that would play out. But it wouldn't surprise me if both of them ended up on Monday Night Raw. So I'm going to say both will go on Raw, but if, and just if, they are broken up, I see Kevin Owens getting that shot on Raw, Sami Zayn having to fight his way to get back on the SmackDown roster, and perhaps eventually doing so. It would be interesting if there was a long storyline played out for these two, where they'd have to go to NXT, but I don't see that quite happening. Will there be any more brought up to the main roster after the shake-up for next week? We'll have to wait and see. I feel Sanity are more than ready. I would love to see them come up. I would personally love to see them on Raw, but I think the gap would be on SmackDown for them if they were to. Same with Andrade Cien Almas, but I think Raw would be great and suitable for him as well with the mid-card area. But, I mean, time will tell with those ones. They perhaps may be coming up later in the year with NXT. Maybe they've got some unfinished business going in to the summer, and maybe we might see them come in like some superstars do. Bobby Roode was one last year who joined after SummerSlam. Maybe that's when they're going to be brought up to the main roster, and maybe not for the time being. So that's my predictions there for you in full length of the Superstar Shake-Up. I've got a video up of the people that need to stay on their particular rosters. You can check that video out right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with my predictions? Who will move from Raw to SmackDown? Who will move from SmackDown to Raw? And who do you want to see? Let me know in the comments below right now. If you like this video, please like and share it. Spread the word of SCW, the wrestling channel. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to share the product and also take the time to sit here and watch it and also give your feedback on the videos that I make. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time here on YouTube.com. Take care.